What's up everybody? Welcome back to Free to Be, and in today's video we're going to be talking about ways you can save more money in 2020. We're basically making this video because we just crossed over into 2020 and a lot of people, I'm sure, as part of their New Year's resolutions had the goal of saving more money this year. And so today we're going to be talking about it, and we're really breaking this down into a two-pronged approach. So there's really two steps to saving more money, and we're going to go over that today. You're not going to want to miss it, so let's get started. Alright, now as always, I know a lot of folks are returning to the channel, but if you are new, please go ahead and take a second and hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps support the channel, so if you could just take 1 second and hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not new, thanks again for coming back. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's really two steps to saving more money, and it's basically saving more and then putting that money to work for you. So the first step is obviously saving more. Second step, putting the money that you've saved to work for you. And so with that said, let's start with the first step, which is saving more money. And in order to do that, you're going to have to use the B word. That's right, budgeting. So I know building a budget can seem very daunting, and I have made videos in the past, which I'll link down below and up above, about how to build a better budget. But let's just start from scratch. Let's say you haven't had a chance to watch any of those videos. How do you go about building a budget? Well, first you got to understand what a budget is. And in essence, it's what money comes in, pays for, non-negotiable type expenses, and then what money goes out, what are you left with? That's basically the budget. And so an easy way to calculate this for yourself is to take your paycheck or any money that you get on a recurring basis, then deduct anything that's non-negotiable, so rent, mortgage, car payment, things like that, healthcare. And what you're left with is your potential savings. That's money that you can either save or waste. And if it's a negative number, then we've got some serious problems because you are now effectively spending way more than you're bringing in. So it's time to reevaluate your situation and figure out how to get into the positives first. And that's not a knock on anyone, but you have to understand that if you are in the negative, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder in order to start saving some money in the first place. So it's just easy to identify. Take your paycheck, deduct the non-negotiable expenses, you're left with your number and you can work from there. Okay, so now that you've done that, how do you actually save more? Well, if you watch YouTube, YouTube is full of videos of people telling you to, stop buying coffee, make your coffee at home, do these little things, I don't buy Starbucks, you know who I'm talking about. And sure, that can save you a couple dollars a day, but that also involves you making a change every single day, which is overwhelming for a lot of people. I mean, to have to give up a daily, ritual that you might have to save a couple bucks, I mean, to end up saving, maybe $100 a year, $200 a year, that's tough for a lot of people to start with. So today we're specifically going to look at one-time fixes, things that you can do once that'll save you hundreds of dollars in the long run, not something that requires you to put in effort every single day. Okay, so how do you do that then? Well, you have to evaluate your expenses that are outside of those negotiable, non-negotiable expenses. And a lot of companies recently, and if you've been paying attention to the world and the change that's happening in the retail consumer world, a lot of these companies are switching over to subscription type models. And that's because, most of these purchases that you make on the subscription basis, they used to be things that you'd have to actively think about before purchasing, but by putting you on a subscription model, you are now just incurring recurring expenses without even thinking about it. You're signing up for a 6-month commitment, a 12-month commitment, and it's just happening in the background, and you're not actively thinking about it anymore. So it's easy to, have 4 or 5 of these accumulating on your card, on your bank account every month, accounting for $80 to $100. So you got to evaluate those first. And sure, some of them you might need. So if you subscribe to a meal box service or clothing or something like that, that you do use, that's fine. But you just have to identify the ones that you're not really getting the most out of and cut those out. And that can easily save $12, $15, $20 a month, which comes out to anywhere between $120 to $240 a year. Okay, so let's say you've cut out a few of those and that's basically saving you an extra $250 a year. What's next? Well, next you evaluate the recurring costs that you do need and you try to find better deals for those services. So, for example, if you're paying money, let's say $150 a month for cable and internet, maybe you cut out the cable, just pay, $50, $60, $70 for the internet and use that extra $70 and disperse that between, streaming services that may give you the same thing you need. It's not uncommon to find live TV streaming services for as low as $25 a month. So right there, you can package your own package of internet and live TV for under $100, which would save you another $50, $60 a month, which comes out to another $400, $500, $600 a year. Let's say another $400 a year saved there. Add it to the $240, $250 you saved in the subscription model evaluation. Now you're talking about real money. You got almost $650, $700 in savings just by cutting those back, cutting them down and deal shopping, basically saving you an extra $700 this year. And you can do this with everything. You can do it with cable, but you can also do it with your cell phone. We tend to look at the big four companies in terms of cell phone providers, but we often forget that the smaller companies lease the same cell towers from those big companies. So we shouldn't think of them as, spotty service. They're using the same cell phone towers. They're not going and building their own cell phone towers. So take a look at the smaller companies that'll offer you better deals. If you're not really using your unlimited data package, maybe you scale back and get a 12 gig data package at a significant lower cost. I know I pay around $70 right now a month for unlimited data, but I'm going to be looking, because I think I tend to use between 8 to 12 gigs a month, for a package that can give me a 15 gig deal with, the unlimited talk, which I don't even use anymore. Who's talking on the phone anyway? So unlimited text is really all you need. Unlimited text, 15 gigs of data. I'm sure I can find something that's in the $30, $35 price range, saving me another $35 a month, which comes out to another $300, $350 a year. Now I'm talking about really saving almost $1,000 a year this year in 2020, just by cutting and scaling back those things and doing a little bit of deal shopping as well. And honestly, the last thing that you can do to save some more money this year is something that I do all the time, and you just have to do it as a smart consumer. It's taking 5 minutes, maybe even less. Do a quick Google search on the product that you're about to buy, because oftentimes you'll find that in local stores nearby or even different sites online, that product will be cheaper. So if you find it at a cheaper price, why not pull the trigger somewhere else instead of initially just jumping on it and buying it right away? And if you take the extra step to search online for promo codes or any kind of deal where you can get some extra money back, cash back opportunities, you'll just be making that much more of impact in terms of your savings, because you'll be buying it at a lower cost and getting some cash back in the process as well. So that's another way you can easily save $10, $15, $20 on a purchase, saving you probably another couple $100 in 2020. All right, now you've saved some extra money. Let's say you were able to save $1,000 this year by implementing some of these things that I just discussed with you. What do you do next? Well, the second prong in this process is to put that money to work for you, because just having it laying around isn't really going to get the most out of that money. It's just going to kind of lose its value over time. So you're going to want to put that money to work for you. And there's several things you can do here to make that happen. And the first thing you're going to do is hit the like button if you've liked this video so far, because it really will help this video getting out there a little bit more. It'll help with the YouTube algorithm, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, but in all seriousness, what are you going to do with this $1,000? Well, there is kind of a hierarchy in terms of what you should evaluate before you do that. I know just 5 seconds ago I said don't just let it sit around, and you don't want it to sit around. But if you do not have an emergency fund of any sort, if you don't have some kind of cash reserve, put that $1,000 in a savings account. It'll gain some interest, but it'll be there in case, some unexpected expense pops up in your life, which always does. So you don't have to dig into some credit card debt or anything else. You have some cash on hand. And so that's the first and most important thing in this hierarchy. If you don't have a cash reserve, put the $1,000 there, because that's a great place to start. Okay, so let's say you do have some cash reserves already on hand. You have a couple $1,000s in a savings account for, the rainy day fund. What do you do next? Well, next, evaluate your retirement accounts. If your employer offers you a matching contribution to your retirement contributions, then you go ahead and make sure you're matching that, because if not, you're leaving money on the table. And now that you have a little bit of cushion, you have a little bit of savings, you can make sure that your contributions are to that maximum allotment, which ultimately means more money in your savings. All right, now in the hierarchy of things, let's say you do have some money set aside in your rainy day fund. You're contributing enough to get the full employer match on your retirement fund at work. What is next? Well, next you should consider paying down your high interest debt if you have any. And really we're talking about interest that's over 8-10% because that's really going to hurt you in the long run. So use this money to pay down that debt. Now, if you don't have any of that, the step afterwards is to invest. Invest any extra money you have, and you can do that by increasing your contributions to the work-sponsored 401k or opening up a Roth IRA or just a regular IRA where you can then go ahead and contribute to that and buy high-yield index funds. All right, so let's say you've done all that, you have your money in savings, you're definitely contributing enough to get the full employer match at work, you've opened a separate IRA, you paid down your debts. What do you do now? Well, you're basically in pretty good shape at this point. If you've made it this far, you're in good shape. So now you can think about long-term financial goals. Do you have kids? Start thinking about their college funds. Are you interested in buying a home, buying property? Think about that. It's now time to kind of start planning your next steps after that. But remember, it all starts with saving that first $1,000, that first sum of money that you can save. And 2020 is a great time to stick to a budget that you create, stick to your New Year's resolution that you have, and get the ball rolling on this process. And again, the path to being better with money really depends on your financial position. And for some, that's saving that first $1,000. For others, it's paying down their debts. And for some, it's investing more. It really depends on where you are in your life. And so you have to evaluate that as a whole, identify where you are, where you want to go, and that's the best approach to this. Okay, guys, so are you ready to save more money in 2020? Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't enjoy the video, go ahead and let me know down below as well. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.